Here you are. Hello, Wally. Let me get your brother. Moose, we're going outside. Yeah, you gotta come with us. Come on. Okay. Thanks, big guy. Hi. We gotta go feed the worms. Let's go. Come on. There we go. Boop, boop, boop. Our helpers are here. We got Moose today. He's home with us. We got Wally. Let them get outside. Go get some sun. So part of the reason for the delay in feeding is because, one, we were waiting for the food to be processed because we had a big feeding with the worms last time, but also I was going to feed them this weekend, but I didn't because we were in the doggy ER with Wally, and Moose was equally not as sick, but they both got sick. They're both on antibiotics right now, resting on the mend. Obviously, they're feeling better while he's chilling in the sun, like his natural state, and Moose is, God only knows what Moose is eating. But they're okay. They presumably ate something they shouldn't have, probably like a deer poop or rabbit poop or something at one of their friends' houses. So they're on the mend. They're doing fine. We were worried that it was worms because somebody tends to eat a lot of stuff they shouldn't, and we have a lot of cats in the neighborhood. So he's been known to eat like cat poop and then shocked, he gets worms, and then Wally gets worms because he's lame and whatever. So anyways, puppies are home today, resting, and it's time for us to get to the worms. So part of the reason for the delay is there was just a ton of liquid that came out of here. I'm not sure if it's because I wasn't opening up the lid. I did very briefly open this part up, but not a lot of liquid spewed out, if that makes sense. There's just a little bit in here. And I didn't want to take the whole thing off because I really don't want to break that seal and potentially let more access for creatures in. So that's essentially, I mean, you could tell it's wet down here. Yeah, I can poke it and my finger's wet. So I don't know what we're gonna do specifically to fix this in the future, but I have a little bit of a plan. Today it's gonna be in the low 90s. A little bit of a breeze because we're expecting some rain tomorrow. So my plan is we're going to feed the worms, but we're going to feed them a little differently. The truth of the matter is I haven't really had the foresight to open the worm bin up every day like I had been planning on it. Life, puppy, dog mom problems. That's okay. It got opened a few times, just not as much as I would like. Well, right off the bat, there's no condensation at all on the top, which is odd. Let's see, our cardboard top, it was a little damp. It's a little damp. Got some cardboard here. Now this big pile over here where all the shredded stuff is, that's where our feeding was last time. So I do want to look. Oh my god, you guys can hear the tree rustling in the background. That's Moose literally pulling leaves off of it as we speak. So I want to take a look at this. I want to look, but I also don't want to disturb too hard. Let's see. We're just over 80 according to our thermometer in here. For those of you who missed the last feeding or forgot, we fed them a big container essentially of scraps, like a salad, like like the plastic salad containers from the grocery store, one of those filled with scraps, and then we wrapped it in a big paper bag with some other bedding and stuff. And the thought was that would delay some of the liquid getting out of control. Let me see. Okay, so now we can see the bag being torn away here, and I'm gonna just bring you guys in manually. So the food is definitely still here, and that's not a big surprise given, oh yeah, there was an orange peels in there. It's not a big surprise given that we wrapped it up so much, but they're in there. The worms are in here. They're working away on it. So there's not nearly as much food. I mean, obviously there's some banana peel and the orange, which is clearly not the top of their favorite list, which is fine, but they're working on it. You know, we can see the worms in there. So there's not really a lot of yummy food for them left. That's fine. I don't think there was going to be that much. But there are a little bit of flies in here, which I'm not really worried. Oh yeah, I also have a failed mushroom experiment, so I just threw the oyster mushrooms in here. So I think that's the second time I failed and threw the mushrooms in here, so we might get mushrooms someday. Okay, let's feed up here this week. But first I gotta let Wally in. I don't want him to get too hot since he's been sick. They're both still on meds. They're on antibiotics and stuff, so we don't want you getting sick, big guy. Or sicker, let's put it that way. Oh yeah. Yeah, you warm. Yeah, he's definitely warm to the touch. Aren't you, Wally? Okay. Well, if one gets pets, the other one needs pets. Come on, Moose. Very reliable. Push through. Okay. So for those of you maybe don't get to catch all of our videos, no worries. When we feed in our urban worm bag, we try and kind of follow a clock pattern, working our way at like 12, 3, 6, 9, and then the center. And that way we can help make sure the whole bed is getting worked over, and I don't know, it makes it easier to keep track of. But also, right now, this worm bag, as you can tell from the titles, the dates in it, we're not quite at the 1 year marker, but we're also not terribly far out either. This hasn't been harvested, so it's pretty, I mean, you could tell along the edges here, it's pretty full. And part of the troubleshooting we've been working through is the extra moisture down at the bottom, which we talked about earlier. So that being said, this week's feeding is actually mostly watermelon rinds because it's watermelon season, and me and Wally love watermelon. Moose and my husband do not, but that's okay. But because I know the worms love the watermelon rinds, but they're also watermelon, so there's a lot of water in it. So the plan is, since I know there's still a bunch of bedding, tissues, paper, whatever up here, instead of burying it and disrupting this and going down to where the castings are, my plan is we're going to take this, dump it on the top, and then I have a bag of tissues from my nose from post-op, because I'm still post-op, I'm not cleared yet, so I have to do a lot of stuff with my nose. We're going to use that, and then hopefully there are some berry bits in there, but the gist of it is mostly watermelon. Anyways, what I'm hoping for is, because the sweet berries, the watermelon, are so popular, I'm not even going to put them super far down, because I know the worms aren't that far away and they love this stuff, and it's going to go crazy quick. So because we're putting it on the top, I'm hoping that means that the worms will kind of come up a little bit. They'll start migrating upwards a little bit, and that's going to be good for two things. One, they can start working through some of the bedding, and two, I'm hoping that I can start keeping the worms closer to the top layers, which I think they already kind of do anyways, because that's where we try to feed. But I'm hoping to do a worm casting harvest soon. I don't know when, but soonish. So I want as many worms closer to the top as possible. Now, let's throw some of this in. There's some random toilet paper rolls and a small Whole Foods baggie. It's nothing crazy. Let me actually adjust this so you can see a little better. There you go. So we're not really burying this super well. I'm not super worried about it either, because the bin isn't excessively wet at the top somehow, which I don't know how that's possible, but I'm going to go with it. So I will probably seal this up just to prevent anything getting to the top super easily. And then we'll just give this a week or so. But once those worms get into the watermelon, that's like, as far as I'm concerned, watermelon is the equivalent of worm crack. They go crazy for it. So yeah, this is going pretty well. And we'll be doing the hot frog soon. That one, the indoor hot frog, the little one that we're using as a breeder bin, that is due to be fed purposefully, I think later this week. I'll have to look at my reminders. So, thanks for hanging out with me and the puppies today. I'm Alessandra. This is our urban worm bag, version 2. And it's been another feeding. And we'll be feeding the hot frog soon. So make sure if you're interested, you're subscribed so you don't miss that out. And till next time, bye friends.